Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the second selection in our current miniseries, POTUS in the Movies, Sunrise at Campbello, 1960, directed by Vincent Donahue and starring Ralph Bellamy and Greer Garson. The film covers the life of Franklin Delano Roosevelt from the onset of FDR's polio attack at Campbello, which straddles the border between Maine and New Brunswick, in August 1921, to his re-entry into public life at the Democratic National Convention in July 1924. Roosevelt's speech nominating Alfred E. Smith for the presidency was much anticipated by the press and public because no one really knew the extent of his disability until that moment, and his entire political future depended on his performance before the delegates that day. The film was produced by Doré Shary, with the cooperation of the Roosevelt family, and Eleanor Roosevelt was actually present during filming at the family's residence at Hyde Park. Shary was known as a man for all seasons. He was an actor, playwright, producer, liberal, Jewish activist, scourge of Hollywood communists and HUAC demagogues, and the man who replaced studio head Louis B. Mayer at MGM from 1951 to 1956. When Shary left MGM in 1956, he returned to Broadway as a writer, producer, and director, producing, among other things, the Broadway version of Sunrise at Campbello, for which he won a Tony Award, and from which he developed the screenplay for this movie. The musical score was written by Franz Waxman, notably the music played at the Democratic Convention. Sunrise at Campbello was released to heavy competition from several other films, including Elmer Gantry, The World of Susie Wong, The Apartment, and Butterfield 8, which cut heavily into its box office revenue. The critics praised Bellamy's portrayal of FDR and Donahue's direction in particular. Variety said that Bellamy's performance was brilliant and that Greer Garson gave a deeply moving, multifaceted characterization of Eleanor Roosevelt. Bosley Crowther of the New York Times said that Bellamy's performance as Mr. Roosevelt is every bit as strong, as full of feeling and characteristic gesture as Mr. Bellamy made it on the stage. Crowther also noted a brilliant performance by Hume Cronyn as Louis McHenry Howe. The film received 4 Oscar nominations but did not win any of them. However, Greer Garson won a Golden Globe for her portrayal of Eleanor, despite the fact that she spoke with an unfortunate sing-song inflection, and she was sporting a buck-tooth dental appliance fashioned by the makeup artist from hell. This movie has been surprisingly influential. It gives a relatively positive representation of disability as something to live with rather than something to defeat or transcend. It also presents politics as a fusion of relatively intelligent people negotiating a well-defined but flexible system, rather than monumental historical protagonists going through their preordained paces. But the film has been criticized for not showing any of FDR's extramarital shenanigans with the likes of his secretary, Missy LeHand, nor any of his and Eleanor's marital bitterness. Rather, both the play and movie are faithful to an idealized portrait of him. In addition, the movie was released 6 months before John Kennedy was elected president, and it's no accident that it contains a lengthy section about the Catholic candidacy for president of New York Governor Alfred E. Smith, who was opposed by many conservative organizations. Along with the Catholic issue, mention is made of the Ku Klux Klan, and African Americans are presented as meek servants. Plot summary. Sunrise at Campbello begins in the summer of 1921 at the Roosevelt family's summer home on Campbello Island, Maine. FDR is seen at age 39 as a vigorous, devoted husband and father who has already achieved some success in politics and government and is something of a darling of the Democratic Party. We observe the sudden, mysterious attack on his body as he is stricken with what will soon be diagnosed as poliomyelitis. to the consternation of his family and political associates. At the time, there was no known cure for the disease, and FDR set about to fight the ravages of the disease and returned to a career which was then considered to be in serious jeopardy. Eleanor is depicted as fiercely protective of him, and his Rock of Gibraltar is his devoted advisor, Lewis Howe, who is continually at odds with FDR's mother, Sarah Delano Roosevelt. She is depicted as a domineering, overprotective mother figure. She wants nothing more for her son than that he should return to Hyde Park and live the life of a country gentleman. With the support of Eleanor and their 5 children, FDR improves and confronts his most serious political challenge since he was infected, that of an unaided walk to a podium to nominate Alfred E. Smith for the presidency at the Democratic National Convention of 1924. This film is particularly appropriate for us to view as we cope with the current epidemic, because it deals with the consequences of a viral epidemic, but actually has an inspiring, upbeat ending. Fun facts about the film. FDR's children actually protested the film's depiction of their grandmother, Sarah Delano Roosevelt, as inaccurate and largely fictitious. Doré Shary, who wrote both the original Broadway play and the screenplay for this film, responded that every play needs a villain. The Harvard Crimson published a very favorable view of Sunrise at Campbello, which noted that Bellamy not only resembled FDR physically, but also caught the essence of the voice that excited the country. The film was entered in the second Moscow International Film Festival, where it was screened at the Moscow Theater in July 1961. For reasons that remain unknown, more than 200 people got up and walked out of the theater. Doré Shary was a major supporter of the Democratic Party and received Eleanor's blessing for the film. It is not known what she thought of Greer Garson's voice and teeth. In real life, FDR's polio infection led to the eradication of the disease. Roosevelt created a foundation that eventually became the March of Dimes, leading to Jonas Salk's development of the polio vaccine in 1945. This discovery was honored by the placement of Roosevelt's profile on the U.S. dime. For many years, this film served as an unofficial memorial to Roosevelt until the opening of the FDR Memorial in Washington, D.C. in 1997. Things to look for. Bellamy's resemblance to FDR. FDR's iconic fedora hat and cigarette holder. Eleanor's can't-miss buck teeth and sing-song voice. Waxman's music, especially at the convention. Anne Shoemaker's portrayal of the mother-in-law you love to hate. FDR's homemade wheelchair. The absence of modern communications devices, making it difficult to seek timely aid for Roosevelt's polio attack. Now it's time to view Sunrise at Campbello. Sit back, settle down. Please remember, it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.